What is going on? We are going to be checking out the new and improved Giant Ape category on the new 9th Anniversary Part 2 stage. And this stage actually is a perfect representation for this team, and it really is like a happy case scenario because it starts off where Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 are not hitting like trucks at the very start. So you can actually put this in Goku slot 1, and thankfully, surprisingly, we got all 5 hits, no dodges occurred. And once you get this in Super Saiyan 4 Goku where he can transform into Oob, you unironically want to stay as Oob as long as possible. You can obviously get away with him being in this base form, and you can obviously get away with him transforming, but once he's the Oob and you get like 7 to 8 orbs, you have 80% DR. I'd say that's the best scenario for this guy because honestly, it's depressing putting him slot 3 because he can't really survive normals. Like for Beast Gohan, this team got shredded, absolutely shredded. And the big problem with this team is if a character such as Red Zone Zamasu or this stage, Beast Gohan stage, actually attacks every slot, you're pretty much cooked. So the problem is that this team has 2 huge weaknesses, and the 2 huge weaknesses is the fact that there is no real kind of like new Giant Ape that exists for this team that fits those 2 spots, because in Super Saiyan 4 Goku is a 2023 unit. He's not old enough to EZA, but he's old enough to have gotten power crept. So what ends up happening is that you have a turn like this where it's ridiculous. Like, how are you going to die here? The only person here who can really die from a super is if it's overpowered is the AGL Vegito, or if possibly you don't dodge the SS3 Goku, but they at least have viability. The problem with in Super Saiyan 4 Goku is that he took 600,000 damage from Beast Gohan's normal stage 1 round 1, and it basically showed that he was unrunnable. But not only did it show that he was unrunnable, it made me realize, like, damn, like, who else do you run on this team? Because other than getting lucky and having this crossover heroes unit, the Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Vegito, I would be even worse shape because that guy is a niche character. I only summoned on him because I have an affection for Super Saiyan 4. I love furries. Thankfully, Dragon Ball Daima has made it canon, so now my sick affliction is a canon affliction, so I'm happy about that. But the thing about that is that I feel like not many people would have that character. Obviously, new players don't have him. And I don't know if his banner will ever come back, and I don't think you can even coin him. So, like, is he even a viable option to say, like, hey, yeah, he's on Giant Ape Power, yeah, he's in this category, but, like, when does bro even show up? Like, literally, unironically, I have no idea when that banner came, and I don't even remember how or when I pulled and got him. But either way, he's one of the few people that run on this category, does really, really well. And then it kind of stops there because, as you can see here, I have this in LR Kid Gohan. And honestly, you're going to see this whole entire fight. I just put him slot 3. He literally does nothing. Unironically, a Cyberman would have basically done the same thing he does. He takes like 250k normals. Even with his full passive, he'll take like 200k normals. So obviously, he ain't surviving a super. But because the stage is kind of set up to be kind of sort of like Sin Shenron or a Mega Shenron stage where you have the build up for the 1, 2, 3 turns, and then eventually you get to a point in time where you have the ultimate super attack that either A, you Ghost Usher, B, you double Whis, or C, get a counter, or in D, in my case, I ended up just going Great Ape and basically, you know, taking no damage because I was in Great Ape form. But that's the thing about this stage, it ends up working out just because it worked out that way. I was able to get away with bringing this in Gohan. But other than that, the only reason I did not get count out is because I left Super Saiyan 4 Goku in the Oob state and just gave him a bunch of int orbs. And then I floated off that Gohan. So if you don't do that, I feel like obviously what I just said is pretty circumstantial. And if the event was a little bit longer where you're forced to transform into Goku, you're obviously not going to be able to do what I just described. And at the same time, it's also pretty depressing because, like, the whole point of that Goku's unit is like, oh, I want to transform as fast as possible. Get hit 5 times. Okay, now I can transform. And it's like, no, you don't want to transform because bro is not a true slot 1 unit. And you kind of need a slot 1 unit when you're running this team because the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the new one, is a slot 2 unit. He's not someone that even really has like significant DR. He does get defense on super. He does get defense on orbs. And it is good enough for like normals, not necessarily strong supers, but he's like a ridiculous support character and someone who usually won't get stuck up. Like, realistically speaking, if you wanted to, if you ran this with GT Heroes and had a 5 Super Saiyan 4 Goku on each turn, had that 5 Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta on each turn, it actually would be the perfect setup. Obviously, you then would not be having the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku, but it probably, for longevity purposes, is better because that Gogeta has a scouter mechanic, and anywhere there's a super, you just don't put him there, and then you just counter with that Gogeta, which is ridiculously good and ridiculously amazing. And as you can see right here, this is the basically ridiculous Omega Shenron attack. I just pop the Great Ape and just be done with it. I basically don't even think about it. But it's actually pretty ridiculous because I remember people on the subreddit basically posting that their Beast Gohan after Super, after basically having built up, got a 1 million or 400,000, either 1 million or 4 million damage because that Super actually crits. If I'm not mistaken, this piece of garbage, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, technically this is the ridiculous Gamma 2 Omega Shenron suicide, unalive kamikaze attack, where basically bro flies up in the air, does a spirit bomb, gosh darn Kuniku Buster, and if I'm not mistaken, he's about to do 30 million plus damage. And what universe is this fair? Obviously, you need to use an item counter or have a great up ability. Otherwise, bro's gonna do this. Like, look at this. Look at this. What? Excuse me? How are you supposed to survive that? The answer is you're not. But I like this category a lot. This category, obviously, it's basically being supported by the few Super Saiyan 4s and then the few viable Great Apes, namely pretty much just Great Ape Vegeta, because honestly, Kid Gohan again does nothing. I like it a lot, but I'd be lying if I told you that like Vegito's category is not as good as this. Vegito's category, like the Tech Vegito, is way better. You obviously have more damage per turn as opposed to this one, where, as you can see right here, in order to not drop dead, I need to transform and basically become the tank of the team, which honestly I'm not mad at. I think that, much like Tech Broly, when he takes the 90% DR, it does have its purpose, it does have its use, and it's not something that is necessarily bad. It's a little annoying because like this character was meant to be transformed and he looks really cool when transformed, but if you transform him, you're dead. There's no if and or buts about it. Bro cannot sit there and be a proper slot 1, and obviously this Goku also cannot be a proper slot 1. You could maybe get away with that Super Saiyan 4 Vegito because he does have DR and he does have like support based on Giant Apes on turn, but he ain't a real slot 1. He's not someone that's going to be there taking hits like SS4 Gogeta or even this SS4 Goku when he's in this oob state. But yeah, it's a very fun category, but it's also something that's extremely lacking. I think the biggest problem with this category is that not many people are going to have all the units. Like, who has this Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker Vegito? I have him because I was a big enough loser to like prioritize him, and honestly, in my opinion, I was taking nothing but L's having this guy because Giant Ape Power has been irrelevant. He is a Giant Ape leader, and no one puts him as his friend. Nobody uses him as his friend. It wasn't until this celebration, literally, that he now is viable. He now is useful. He now actually, you can be used on the team. But I don't even know how long that's going to last, because how long is it going to be where people are basically going to continue to have the AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku as leader? Like, how long is that going to last? Vegito is going to probably be for the next 6 months to a year. But I don't know about Giant Ape. I feel like it's way too niche. Like, you need a lot of characters that are on very select few banners. Like, yeah, you can get right now you could go coin the Vegeta. He's pretty damn good. You can go coin, obviously, in Super Saiyan 4 Goku if you really wanted to, but he's not good until he gets his EZA. And then everybody else is pretty niche. And obviously, I just have like a slot open right now. I'm literally just putting Enlar Gohan there because what else are you going to put there? unironically, there is no other opening. So I honestly wonder, and I kind of am curious to see what people do if you do not have the Super Saiyan 4 Vegito. Who do you put? And whoever you're going to put is not going to be a great option. The only person I would think is AGL Baby. And even he is not that good because he's someone that builds defense only. So he could survive normals. Like I took him to the Beast Gohan stage and he was surviving normals for like 60k hits. But he's going to crumble under any super attack. So it's kind of like a give or take here. But this is a huge improvement to the Giant Ape category. No exaggeration. Giant Ape was unrunnable before. It was unrunnable, one, because nobody put him as a leader. Obviously, no, like literally no one had him. And then the other reason why it was unrunnable is because the leader was not good enough. And not only was it not good enough, but without the LR Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta EZA, this team is lacking, ridiculously lacking support as well as a slot 1. But as you can see here, this Gogeta does so much that honestly, you could probably try to like, I don't know if you can make a GT Heroes team. I mean, obviously you can make a GT Heroes team, but I like the Giant Ape team just because you can run the Vegeta and you can run this Gohan too, although he's not the best unit. So I honestly wonder what GT Heroes would look like. It probably would benefit from having 2 Gogetas, but that's kind of where it ends. GT Heroes is pretty much made up of all the SS4s, and until the SS4s get a Super EZA, it's probably going to be a while before they have tanky support units. But this category is pretty lit. Actually looks pretty darn cool. I was surprised. This stage was really easy with Giant Ape Power, probably even easier than doing a pure Saiyans run, just because of the fact that you have the Giant Ape Super Saiyan 3 Goku on either turn to just eat hits. So this ended up being a pretty easy run, but damn, did I get demolished by Beast Gohan. So as good as this team is and as fun as this team is, it has major weaknesses that cannot be ignored. So I would say that it'd be nice if this team got another support unit or a slot 1 because it needs it badly. You kind of have a fake slot 1 with the SS4 Goku, but like I said, the only reason that even worked out for this stage is because on the first beginning stage, he was able to get hit 5 times turn 1. That by itself is pretty unlikely. That on the Beast Gohan stage literally would be impossible because he was taking 600,000 from normals. So it kind of depends on the stage. If the first stage is easy and if the first 2 like rounds is basically weak enough where he can transform, then yeah, you could use him as a fake slot 1 for 4 turns. But even then, 4 turns isn't a lifetime. It worked out this time, but I doubt it'll work out every time. But listen, that's enough yapping from me. The Giant Ape category is actually runnable. It's actually really fun. I think the only downside is that you will have to wait to see the SEZAs for the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and the SDR Super Saiyan 4 Goku before most people really have a chance to actually run this team, because I feel like it's way too niche and most people have the main players, but there's probably more people than not that have a missing link, 1, 2, or even 3. So I think, unfortunately, this category is cooked until it gets at least 2 more releases and maybe 2 more SEZAs.